Hey there, Alfredo here, and welcome to this new video. Today I'll be showing you how you can integrate Zapier with GetSales in order to boost your LinkedIn outreach. So the process is very simple. You basically only will need three tools. You'll need Zapier, you'll need GetSales, and you will need some kind of Google Sheet or a software that has a table. So what is the process? So let's just say that we picked Google Sheet. I have this sheet here that I called leads. It's very basic. It's very simple. You can add any other variable you want, even if you want to mention the prospect industry or anything about him. But just for the simplicity of the video, we'll just keep it with these four variables. So what is the process? So process is Zapier works in a way in which you have something like they call them zaps, and essentially it's nothing more than automation where you have one trigger and multiple actions. So in our case, the trigger will be Google Sheets, and we will make sure that um, new or updated row sheet is the trigger we want if we want the automation to go every time we add rows to the sheet. One other thing you can do is they call polling. So it's whenever, like a periodic, every 5 minutes, every X amount of time, um, it will check for new data and then make the automation run for that new data. My suggestion, even for cost wise, it's always better to keep it only on the instant part, just because every time one of these node runs, it is one action, and Zapier, just like any other platform or similar, charges you per operation you do. So here it's simple. I just sign in with Google. Boom. And I have my account. I just click continue. Spreadsheet, I just want to make sure that it is leads. And then worksheet, sheet one, because it is sheet one at the bottom there. Now, trigger column is the column for which, if it gets populated or anything, it will trigger the automation. Here, it also gives you more explanation. Select the column trigger only when changes happen there. New rows will always trigger. So in this case, because we only want it to trigger whenever we have a new row, not if we change a value of an existing row, we just leave this blank. Then you click on continue, and then we can test trigger. No spreadsheet row found. Create a spreadsheet row in your account and test again. Let's just do that. Perfect. So let me just put my name and surname to test with. Um, just put LinkedIn. Let me find my profile URL, and then boom. So now let's just test it again. It's trying to fetch data. We got it. So, okay, perfect. So now we just continue with selected record. And basically, Zapier has a lot of integrations with existing tools. My suggestion is always to check if the tool you want to integrate with exists. And in this case, it doesn't. So GetSales is not a Zapier integration. But to be honest, we don't care because we have workarounds. So the workaround to this is basically going to Webhooks. Action event. This is going to be easy. So how it's going to work is basically that GetSales has a documentation, which is here. And what they do is they basically explain how you should custom call their software. So let me just go and put this next to myself. Essentially, these direct Zapier integrations already have this on lock. But when you're going through webhooks, you're basically going through your own route and making a custom one. And it may seem complex, but it is pretty easy. So you have post, which is action event, and you put post. Then you click continue. URL is going to be your endpoint. You just paste it there. Um, and of course, you have to change your flow ID with the ID of your automation, and you can find your ID here on the top. Let's just go with that. I just paste it. Okay, wait, it's disturbing. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, there's a bracket of too much. Then here, data, we can leave it blank. We just need to add headers. We need to add two of them because this is what the H says, headers. So we need to add authorization. We need to add content type. And then even the values here. Okay. Wait, mistake. Paste it there. And once you get the hang of it, it becomes pretty easy. So now for authorization, you need to write down the word bearer, and then you can simply find your API key in your profile here. In the settings, you can go API keys. Um, Another thing is it will ask you payload type. You want to put raw just because you want to paste this whole thing that they gave you. So this whole thing, they call it lead. And you can notice data, there's a D here, just like with before there's H. And what happens here is you just simply paste this whole thing, which is pretty, I want to say, easy. The only thing, of course, is that every variable needs to be changed depending on the variables in the Google Sheet. So to add a new variable that comes from the Google Sheet, you simply need to click on the plus and see you have your variables here. So once you change the variables, and you also make sure that here in the file, there are some things you need to get from your account. So the flow ID is the ID of the automation. The bearer is your API. Bearer, and then your JWT is your API. And then finally, you have your UUID, which is essentially the ID of the list. And once you go on lists, you can easily find that because there will be three dots with a menu. You can just copy it. And once those three are set up, the rest is mostly depending on your lead source. So let's say that if I didn't want most of these, I just wanted I could run the campaign with only these four, just because in the documentation you can tell that only the ones with required are the ones we need. So we have the ID of the automation is required. The fact of having the whole thing as a lead, the lead data, like just the data existing, is required, but inside of it you only require the LinkedIn ID, and then in the bottom you also require the list UUID. For the rest, you don't need anything else. The rest is just a bonus if you want to personalize your copy. But once it's done, you can just basically click continue and you can test step, and it will run adding the lead to the automation just for you to test it. Just skip test for the purpose of practice. And then once it's ready, you just press publish. And once it's published, what will happen is you can keep on adding new leads just by pasting. Essentially, you can paste the whole company names, you can paste everything. Just make sure to paste them all at once. My best suggestion is you can create a new sheet and manually upload a CSV file, and then you just give an example. So let's just say you have like all the leads in the world like this. I know it's not the best, but let's just say you have all the leads in the world. Okay, it's not copying. So let's just say your file is full. You just have to make sure that your file doesn't trigger when you only have the name, when you only have the LinkedIn, because as soon as you paste, it will trigger. So what you want to do is you want to create a new sheet inside of your file, and you can either file import your CSV, or you can do this and then essentially make sure to copy all of these rows. And what you do is you copy these and then you paste it right at the bottom. So boom, your whole automation will trigger simultaneously for all of those. That's a little trick just to make sure that, let's say I write down first the name, then the surname, and then the automation goes in error because it says that LinkedIn URL is blank, but I still have to write it down. So once you have that set up, you're basically unlocked to add any leads in a Google Sheet and then send them to GetSales. And of course, you can also experiment. You can add leads from your CRM. You can do practically anything. Like, possibilities are endless. It depends on what fits your needs at best, because you could really, if I were to edit Zap, you can essentially choose any of their integrations. It could be, if you have a new lead from Facebook ads and you're asking them for the LinkedIn profile. It could be practically anything. So guys, from Alfredo, this is all, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.